Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History. Today we're going to focus on one year in particular that has captured the attention of collectors for decades, the 1972 Eisenhower dollar. At first glance, this may look like a regular, hefty dollar coin that many people once used in their everyday lives, but the truth is, within the world of numismatics, the 1972 Eisenhower dollar holds secrets, varieties, and incredible value that could turn an ordinary coin into a life-changing discovery. If you love rare coins, history, and hidden treasures, then you're in for an exciting journey, so stay tuned until the very end, because the true value of this coin might just surprise you. The Eisenhower dollar, also known as the Ike dollar, was minted from 1971 to 1978 and was the first dollar coin produced by the United States since the peace dollar ended in 1935. It was introduced not only to honor the late President Dwight D. Eisenhower, one of America's most respected leaders and military figures, but also to celebrate the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969, one of the greatest achievements in human history. This made the Eisenhower dollar the only U.S. coin to simultaneously honor both a president and a space mission, which immediately gave it a unique place in American coinage. The 1972 Eisenhower dollar is especially famous among collectors because it contains three major design varieties, which makes it an exciting challenge for numismatists. On the obverse, you'll find the bust of President Eisenhower, bold and commanding, designed by Chief Engraver Frank Gasparo. On the reverse, the coin features the iconic Apollo 11 insignia, an eagle landing on the moon, clutching an olive branch of peace, with Earth visible in the background. This imagery captures both the triumph of American space exploration and the hope for global peace. But here's where the 1972 Eisenhower dollar stands apart: the details on Earth itself, particularly the Caribbean islands and surrounding landmasses, vary depending on the die used at the mint. These subtle differences created three recognized types of the 1972 Eisenhower dollar, known as Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3. The most legendary of these is the Type 2, which is the rarest and most sought after. This variety was produced by mistake when a reverse die originally intended for proof coins struck circulation coins. Instead of showing a detailed, well-defined Caribbean region, the Earth on this variety appears almost smooth, with a flattened outline of the islands. Very few of these coins ever entered circulation, and they were released only through Philadelphia, making them exceptionally rare to find. Collectors across the country have spent years searching pocket change, old collections, and bank rolls in hopes of stumbling across this elusive coin. The rarity of the 1972 Type 2 Eisenhower dollar cannot be overstated. While the Type 1 and Type 3 coins are collectible in their own right, they are far more common. The Type 2 variety, however, is the crown jewel of the series. Many collectors consider it the ultimate prize when it comes to Eisenhower dollars, because not only is it scarce, but it also represents a fascinating minting error that slipped past quality control during one of the most significant times in U.S. history. Condition, of course, plays a critical role in determining value. Most Eisenhower dollars were heavily used in casinos or circulated widely in daily commerce. Their large size made them prone to dings, scratches, and wear, which means uncirculated examples are extremely rare. When you combine the rarity of the 1972 Type 2 variety with a coin that has survived in near-perfect, mint-state condition, you have a recipe for a true numismatic treasure. Collectors often dream of finding one of these coins in pristine condition, carefully preserved with sharp details, a smooth surface, and brilliant luster. Coins like these command staggering prices when they appear at auction, often setting records that amaze even the most seasoned coin dealers. It's not uncommon for collectors to submit their 1972 Eisenhower dollars to grading services like PCGS or NGC, hoping that their coin might be that elusive gem in high grade that changes everything. What makes this coin even more exciting is its appeal across different types of collectors. Some people are drawn to it because of the Eisenhower connection, admiring the strong portrait of the general-turned-president. Others collect it because of the Apollo 11 reverse, a lasting tribute to American space exploration. And then there are those who chase the thrill of varieties and mint errors, with the Type 2 standing as one of the most important and valuable in modern U.S. coinage. It's this combination of history, symbolism, artistry, and scarcity that makes the 1972 Eisenhower dollar so captivating. Now imagine this scenario: you're sorting through an old coin jar, maybe something passed down from a parent or grandparent. You see a big, silver-colored coin and recognize it as an Eisenhower dollar. You check the date, 1972. At first, you don't think much of it. But then you take a closer look, compare the globe on the reverse, and realize you're holding something extraordinary, the ultra-rare Type II variety. If that coin is in excellent condition, you might not just be holding history, you might be holding a fortune. And that brings us to the big reveal, the part you've been waiting for since the beginning of this story. A 1972 Eisenhower dollar, specifically the rare Type II variety, in pristine, mint-state condition, has been known to reach auction prices as high as $355,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $355,000 for a single coin that many people once dismissed as bulky change. That's the magic of coin collecting. A piece of history that once passed from hand to hand, used in casinos or tucked away in a drawer, can turn into an astonishing treasure if it happens to be the right coin in the right condition. So the next time you come across an Eisenhower dollar, don't pass it by. Take a closer look, study the details, and who knows, you might just discover a hidden gem worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Coin collecting is not just about value, it's about uncovering stories, preserving history, and experiencing the thrill of the hunt. And the 1972 Eisenhower dollar is one of the best examples of how a simple coin can hold extraordinary worth. Today, we are going to uncover one such treasure, a coin that carries not only immense historical significance but also the potential for staggering value, the United States of America Eisenhower dollar from 1974. At first glance, this coin may look like a common large dollar, but behind its bold design and hefty weight lies a story filled with history, rarity, and collector intrigue. So get ready, because by the time we reach the end of this journey, you'll see why this particular Eisenhower dollar has become a legendary piece in numismatic circles and how one extraordinary example shocked the collecting world with its value. The Eisenhower dollar, often affectionately called the Ike dollar, was minted from 1971 through 1978. Following a long break after the Peace Dollar series had ended back in 1935. Its creation was a tribute to General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States, a man who had not only led Allied forces to victory in World War II but also presided over a time of growth and stability in America during the 1950s. But the Eisenhower dollar didn't just celebrate the life of a president, it also honored one of mankind's greatest achievements, the Apollo 11 moon landing. The coin's reverse design, featuring the eagle landing on the lunar surface clutching an olive branch, is a direct nod to the insignia of the Apollo 11 mission, making the Eisenhower dollar one of the most unique commemorations in American coinage. Now, let's focus specifically on the year 1974. These coins were minted at 3 different facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and were struck in both regular copper-nickel clad and special 40% silver versions for collectors. The obverse features a powerful portrait of Eisenhower, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparo, whose strong lines and commanding features capture the spirit of the man himself. The reverse, of course, showcases the iconic Apollo 11 eagle, its wings spread wide as it descends onto the moon's surface. Together, these images form one of the most meaningful designs in modern U.S. numismatics. But what makes the 1974 Eisenhower dollar stand out from the rest of the series isn't just its design, it's the fascinating story of rarity, errors, and collector demand. By the mid-1970s, the Eisenhower dollar had become a popular coin for use in casinos, especially in places like Las Vegas, where its large size made it easy to handle at slot machines. Because of this, many of the 1974 coins entered circulation heavily and quickly became worn. Finding one today in pristine, uncirculated condition is far less common than you might imagine, and that scarcity plays a major role in its desirability. And then, there are the special variants and minting quirks that have captured collectors' imaginations. One of the most famous Eisenhower dollar stories involves the so-called Type II reverse, which appeared on some earlier issues, showing different lettering styles on the Earth's design. While 1974 coins don't have the same three-type varieties as the 1972 series, they do exist in several formats that attract attention, particularly the San Francisco Mint silver-clad proofs. These proof coins were struck with an extra level of care, resulting in mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs, making them dazzling additions to any collection. Collectors are also drawn to mint errors from this year. Misstrikes, off-center coins, double dies, or planchet flaws can all add significant value. A coin that would otherwise be worth only a modest amount can suddenly skyrocket in value if it contains one of these rare minting errors. Every coin has the potential to be unique, and in the case of the Eisenhower dollar, uniqueness can mean thousands of dollars more in value. The appeal of the 1974 Eisenhower dollar also lies in its role as a transition coin. By the time it was struck, there were already discussions in Congress about moving toward a smaller-sized dollar coin, which eventually became the Susan B. Anthony dollar introduced in 1979. This makes the 1974 issues part of the final years of the big, bold Eisenhower dollars, a series that holds nostalgia for collectors who remember using them in daily life or at casinos. For younger collectors, the size and heft of the coin itself feels like a throwback to an earlier time, making it a striking piece to hold in your hand. But beyond nostalgia and design, condition is the ultimate factor when it comes to value. A 1974 Eisenhower dollar pulled from circulation will generally show wear on Eisenhower's cheek, flattening on the eagle's feathers, and dulled luster across the surface. However, if you manage to find one that has been carefully preserved, untouched by circulation, with sharp details and a bright, reflective surface, the value increases dramatically. Coins graded at the highest levels, such as Mint State 67 or higher, are incredibly rare and command staggering premiums when they appear at auction. Imagine being the lucky collector who owns such a coin. Maybe it was tucked away in a family collection, maybe it was discovered in a forgotten roll from the bank, or maybe it was carefully preserved by someone who knew its potential decades ago. Whatever the path, these coins represent the very best of what numismatics is all about: the thrill of discovery, the connection to history, and the possibility of holding a fortune in the palm of your hand. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the extraordinary value that makes this story so thrilling. A 1974 Eisenhower dollar, in the finest condition imaginable and representing the peak of rarity and desirability, has reached auction prices as high as $343,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $343,000 for a single Eisenhower dollar. A coin that many once used casually in slot machines or pocket change has become a legendary rarity worth a small fortune in today's collecting world. It's proof that sometimes the most incredible treasures are hiding in plain sight, waiting for a sharp eye and a little bit of luck to bring them to light. So the next time you come across an Eisenhower dollar, whether in a collection, a coin shop, or even tucked away in an old drawer, take a close look. Check the date, inspect the details, and think about the history it represents. You never know, you might be holding a piece of American history that's worth far more than its face value. The Eisenhower dollar is one of the most iconic coins of modern American history, and among them, the 1971 Eisenhower dollar stands out as a true legend. This was the very first year the coin was minted, and it carries with it a rich story of history, honor, design, and rarity that makes it one of the most fascinating coins in circulation. At first glance, the Eisenhower dollar may look like just another oversized coin, but dig a little deeper and you'll uncover a piece of history that has become an absolute treasure for collectors. By the end of this video, you'll see why the 1971 Eisenhower dollar can command such breathtaking prices and why you should always keep an eye out for one of these remarkable coins. The story of the Eisenhower dollar begins in the late 1960s, a period of great change in America. The nation had recently celebrated the success of the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969, a historic moment that united the world in awe. At the same time, the country mourned the passing of Dwight D. Eisenhower, the revered five-star general of World War II and the 34th President of the United States. To honor both the fallen leader and the space mission that defined an era, Congress approved the release of a new $1 coin, and in 1971, the Eisenhower dollar was born. This coin was the first U.S. dollar struck since the peace dollar series ended in 1935. Unlike silver dollars of the past, most 1971 Eisenhower dollars were made of copper nickel clad instead of silver, reflecting the new economic realities of the time. However, specially minted 40% silver versions were produced for collectors and sold directly by the U.S. Mint. This split created two distinct groups of coins, the everyday circulation strikes and the coveted collector editions. On the obverse of the coin, we see the bold and dignified portrait of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparo. His strong features reflect his legacy as both a military leader and a president. The reverse is equally powerful, featuring an eagle landing on the moon with an olive branch in its talons, based on the Apollo 11 mission patch. Above the eagle hovers planet Earth, reminding us of the incredible accomplishment of humans walking on the lunar surface. This design makes the 1971 Eisenhower dollar not just a coin, but also a timeless tribute to two of America's greatest achievements, victory in war and triumph in space exploration. But what makes the 1971 Eisenhower dollar especially exciting is the rarity of certain varieties and the incredible values attached to them. Since it was the first year of issue, there were several experimental strikes and design variations. Some were made in San Francisco as special silver-clad proofs with mirror-like finishes, while others were struck in limited quantities for collectors. Errors also crept into the production process, double dies, off-center strikes, and planchet mistakes, that today fetch significant premiums. These errors make each coin unique, turning a standard issue into a rare collectible that collectors hunt for with passion. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of 1971 Eisenhower dollars for circulation, but most of them were heavily used in daily commerce or in casinos, where the Ike dollar became a favorite for slot machines. As a result, finding a 1971 Eisenhower dollar in pristine, uncirculated condition is much rarer than you might expect. Many of these coins show wear on Eisenhower's cheek and hair, as well as flattening on the eagle's feathers. A truly flawless example with full mint luster and sharp details is like striking gold in the world of coin collecting. Even more desirable are the 1971 Eisenhower dollars struck in silver. These 40% silver coins were sold in collector sets, both as proofs and uncirculated strikes. Their heavier feel, brighter shine, and special packaging set them apart. Over the years, many were mishandled or removed from their original holders, which means high-grade examples are not only rare but also in tremendous demand today. Collectors love the 1971 Eisenhower dollar for many reasons. Some value it because it's the very first issue of the series, making it historically significant. Others prize it for its dual tribute to a president and to space exploration. And then there are those who chase the rarest varieties and errors, knowing that a single coin in the right condition could change everything. The thrill of discovering one of these coins is what makes collecting so addictive. Imagine coming across a 1971 Eisenhower dollar in an old collection, a coin jar, or perhaps a set that's been tucked away for decades. At first, it seems ordinary. But upon closer inspection, you realize it's a high-grade silver issue, or maybe even a rare proof strike with immaculate surfaces. The possibilities are endless, and that's the beauty of coin collecting, the unexpected treasures waiting to be found. Now, let's talk about the value, the part that always makes hearts race. While common circulated examples may only be worth a modest amount, the finest 1971 Eisenhower dollars, those rare coins that have survived in exceptional, flawless condition, have shocked the collecting world with their prices at auction. In fact, one of the finest examples of the 1971 Eisenhower dollar has been valued at an astonishing $338,000. Yes, you heard that right, $338,000 for a single Eisenhower dollar. A coin that many people once thought of as just a big, heavy dollar for casinos or pocket change has now become a legendary rarity worth nearly a fortune. That is the magic of numismatics, the discovery that something so ordinary can transform into something so extraordinary. So the next time you come across an Eisenhower dollar, don't dismiss it as just a bulky coin of the 1970s. Look closely, check the date, the mint mark, and the condition. It could be a piece of history worth far more than its face value, and if you're lucky, it could even be one of those rare examples worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the story of the 1971 Eisenhower dollar. If you enjoyed this journey into the history and hidden value of one of America's most iconic coins, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next coin adventure. Keep searching your change, keep exploring old collections, and remember, you never know when you might hold a treasure worth more than you ever dreamed.